Hi, I'm Sam Edelston, and I'm here to show you why 3 equals 6. And sometimes 3 is greater than 6. Now, I'm not talking about math here. I'm talking about music, and specifically musical instruments. I'm thinking of the mountain dulcimer versus the guitar. It's possible that you've seen a dulcimer before at some point in your life. It's usually considered a folk instrument. People usually play folk tunes or folk songs on it. You may not have paid much attention to it, but like a guitar, it has frets, it has strings. It usually has 3 or 4 strings compared to a guitar that usually has 6 strings. And people usually play it by putting it on their laps, and then they fret it and strum it from above. Now, I want to mention also, I like to call it the fretted dulcimer rather than the mountain dulcimer, because they definitely have frets, and they definitely don't have to play mountain music. Now, I grew up musically as a fingerstyle guitarist, and so I was accustomed to playing the melody and the chords and maybe a moving bass line all at once. And so I didn't think that something with only 3 strings could be terribly interesting for many years. So then one day, long story short, it was necessary for me to buy a dulcimer. And I sat down and spent some quality time with it. And within about an hour and a half, all of a sudden, I stumbled upon like songs from the radio. And the first one was that old 60s song, Mellow by Donovan. And this is almost exactly how I played it that very first day. And so forth. And it's like melody over chords. That's kind of interesting. Now, I remember my earliest days of playing the guitar and how every time I wanted to change a chord, I had to remember which finger went on which string at which fret. So if I wanted to play a G chord, that finger on the 3rd fret, and then second fret for that string, and then these fingers don't feel right. What if I try that there, and oops, and eventually I would have a G chord. So by contrast, here's a typical dulcimer with just 3 strings, which means a lot fewer wrong strings to have to figure out which ones to not play. And look at that fretboard. There are even fewer wrong notes to put your fingers on because some of the notes aren't there. So this here, with only 2 fingers, and again, fewer wrong guesses to make, this is a similar sounding G chord. It's got the same 3 top notes as the guitar G chord I played a moment ago. By the way, I'll explain the funny looking fretboard soon in a separate video. Here's another G chord a little farther up the fretboard. And by the way, notice that my thumb is a full-fledged fretting finger here. So unlike guitars and banjos and mandolins and most other fretted instruments where you basically fret with 4 fingers, not only do I have fewer strings, but I can easily fret with all 5 fingers. And hey, look, I can even do the splits. Try reaching that far with your guitar. So this all means that no matter what chord I'm playing, I always have one or two extra fingers free to do something else. For example, in this phrase from Billy Joel's song, She's Always a Woman. So it turns out that dulcimers are great for really just like all kinds of music. What I've discovered through my years of playing is that there's some really cool things that I can do on a dulcimer that I can't do on a guitar. Just as obviously the reverse is true as well. But my point is that dulcimers are just as capable and just as cool as guitars. And basically, 3 strings are just as good as 6. So I'm going to do some more videos and elaborate on all of this further. I hope you'll subscribe to me on YouTube or follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and stay tuned.